And we're live. Carl, do you confirm that you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Perfect. So, hello, YouTube. Hello, people signing in live. Thank you for taking time to talk about CRM hygiene. So, today is our episode number 4 of this series, and we're bringing back Carl from the trenches to tell us about normalizing domains. So, Carl, again, I mean, we've done your intro in a previous episode, but for people who haven't yet heard it, tell us a little bit about who is Carl, what is he doing these days,
Yeah.
and can you please dumb down what normalizing domains means?
Yep. So my name is Karl. So right now I'm a go-to-market engineer, consultant, freelance. I work with Series A to Series B and C, like startup, on all thing around go-to-market. That could be strategic things to very engineering things for go-to-market. So yeah, before that I was working at very early stage companies, cybersecurity companies, and also an HR company. And yeah, right now I'm kind of a freelance right now. So yeah, about normalizing domain. So it's a bit of an echo of what we've talked about maybe a month ago about cleaning the CRM. So one thing about cleaning the CRM is that for that you need an identifier, a key in your CRM to identify the right account, the right contact. So for a lot of companies, that will be the website or the domains. Um, to give other example, you can like have a I don't know the business identifier for if it's like a regulated business. You can have the tax ID, etc. But yeah, the most common will be the domains and the website. So that's why we need that, and we need that baseline to have a clean CRM without duplicate first, and also a CRM with accurate data. So we will see later that one of the challenges like is to have the right website and the website that are working. And yeah, domains and website can play this role.
Super clear. And I guess just to expand on when you say accurate data, this is not just like duplication, it's also hurting a lot of downstream processes. So your account scoring, your lead scoring, your stakeholder enrichment, champions tracking, a lot of those stuff that those are very useful signals to have. It gets messed up because you're just not like able to count in the right way all the sort of domains present in the CRM. Maybe Carl, let's start off with an example. So just to like lay it bare for people, what is a non-normalized standard, non-standardized domain, and how often do we see it in your client work, etc.?
Yeah, so if we take for example Vercel, so here as you can see you can have the bare domain, which be vercel.com, but you can have the www, the HTTPS, and so on, and you have like the ETM parameter. You can have like the if it's like a UK business or government business, government website, sorry, you can have like the .uk or the .government. So you have a lot of way to showcase a website, to showcase a website URL, uh, and like I think I did it for a previous company where like I've just exported all the websites from all the accounts on this CRM. So we had like maybe 50,000 accounts. All those 50,000 accounts, I think we had like maybe 20 to 25 variation of how the website format. So yeah, that's after that, it's a nightmare for the house people, for the go-to-market engineer to work on that. So you need to clean that first. So yeah, so we are only talking about the format here, uh, and we'll see maybe Vercel.co.uk. I don't think that this website is working. The format is not bad. If it's the format that you want, it's not bad, but Vercel.co.uk is not working. So that's in the other part of this.
Yeah, I think that that's a good way to categorize it, right? There's two problems. There's like the first problem is similar websites that are actually functional, but they are
Yeah,
presented in the wrong way, right? So that can be a suffix or a prefix. And then there's websites that masquerade as being as Vercel, but they're not really because it doesn't lead to the right website. Maybe it's a competitor or substitute or some unrelated company. And those two problems we have to fix at the same time.
yeah, Correct.
So how we're going to break this sort of like talk down for the audience is we're going to cut it into how to find websites that are suspicious, so that probably have non-normalized domains, and we have a method for that. And secondly, we're going to show you, once you've identified the suspicious websites, what do you do about them. And there's a cheap way to do it and an expensive way to do it, and you have to find your piece with the right mix of options given what's present in your budget and your CRM. So that's how we're going to attack it. Carl has also made us some very nifty templates. So after this event, everyone who RSVP'd will get the templates. So the cargo tools that you can just plug into your workflow to get going with.
Yep.
So if we're good with that, then let's maybe dive into the first part, Carl. So um, detection. So that's step one, right? So give us like a little overview about this
Yeah,
before we
yeah,
dive deep dive.
yeah. Detection. So, as I mentioned, like if you have like maybe 20,000 accounts, you have to detect first which accounts, which website are in the wrong format. So in my experience, what is great and what is the best practice is to just keep the bare domain. So that will be cargo.com, and do not keep like the www, because like it can create a lot of mistakes. You just want to keep the bare domain. It will be easier for you, easier for yourselves to read it. And then if you want to to update them, like it would be easier. That's the first thing. Second thing, why we are starting with detecting, because it's important for your budget. And if you think about scalability of it, you need to identify first the website that are not working, and the website where the format is not working. Based on that, you will be able like to do other enrichment that will be at cost. Or, yeah, other arrangements, or maybe to find new website, etc. So yeah, that's why we are starting with detecting the suspicious domains. For that, I think the next slide, yeah, first part is like to validate with Google DNS. So it's pretty easy. What we are doing is that we are taking a domain, let's say again cargo.com. I don't think it's, is it like a real domain, cargo.com?
I
Is
think
it
there
one?
must be something called cargo.com.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's maybe that's not the right example, but so we are taking a domain. So you have the company name and you have a domain. You want to verify if this domain is working. What we do is that we ping Google DNS. So we have a node for that. So it's like a regular API call. Based on that, Google will give us an answer with a status. So we highlighted in this slide the status. So it's like kind of a binary. So if it's zero, that means that the website is working, meaning that we can validate this domain as working. If it's another thing than zero, it means that the website is not working. That means like that's suspicious, right? So with this workflow, you can just like, I don't know, if you have like all your accounts, you just run them through this workflow, and then you can store the value for sure, and then you will know which account like where you need to do another enrichment. So that's the first step.
Got it. And just to for the uninitiated, Carl, what is the Google DNS and why do we rely on it so
Yeah,
heavily to do this?
so Google DNS is like the big library of all the websites, the World Wide Web. So the work of Google is to sell ads, but another thing is like they are doing like they are a search engine, so they have to um, uh, they have in their database all the websites that are existing. So their job is to say, okay, this website is existing or not. So that's why we are pinging them. We are asking the question, hey, is this website exist? If yes, they will answer with status zero. If it's not working, they will answer with another status, one, two, three, etc.
Excellent. Yeah, and I
And
guess Google is the most reliable
yeah,
database out
that's
there,
what
right? Because
I wanted to
yeah,
add is that you can have a lot of provider for that. I think Google is the yeah is one of the most reliable for that. Really, if you have like I think if you target Chinese and Russian companies, it might be the best case, the best the best API call to do. But yeah, if you're targeting Chinese and Russian companies, I think you already know which provider you have to use. But yeah, besides that, Google is the best provider for that.
Very clear. Okay, so summary, very simple API call using a GET request, using a, like a simple HTTP call node inside Cargo to get a status back for that domain that you've set as an input. And then you do something a little bit more nifty. So you pass that response
Yeah.
to a script, JavaScript. So maybe walk us through like the details of what is
Yeah,
the JavaScript doing.
yeah, maybe I will give you like a concrete and real example. So let's say again we take cargo.com, that and that's a real website. So based on that website, we want to analyze if this website is really being used by someone. Okay, because you can have like websites that are running because Google won't read the website per se, but they will just say, okay, it's working or not. But those websites, you have to you want to see if someone is using them. So how do you do it? Most of the time when a domain is being used, you have you have an email account linked. So you have like a Gmail, Outlook, etc. Also, you can have a lot of tools that are in your DNS, like HubSpot, Shopify, for example, a lot of Shopify. Let me think, Salesforce also that can be found in the DNS. So that's what we are doing right now with this script. Is that we are taking the reply, the answer from Google. Google will reply a status, but also with all the DNS linked to this domain. And then based on that, yeah, it's in the question. Like if you come back on the slide,
Yeah,
if you just below status, etc., you have question, and then you can expand, and then and this question you have multiple answer. So that's the all the different um, DNS inside this domain, and then we will pass those answer to this script, and this script will say, okay, so and we'll analyze it and say, okay, if they are finding something or not, and if yes, yeah, it's another validation step.
excellent. So yeah, you take those arrays of domains in those answer and you
Yep,
sort for the most like the best match to
yep,
the
that's right.
actual domain, right?
And if you can read the example, below below the function, you say example data 10 RLT3 ASPMX google.com. That means that they are using Google Workspace, for example. So that's what
Excellent.
we are looking for. So meaning that this website it's working because Google said that, and also from that we know that someone is using it. Someone is using Google Workspace with this domain, so we can have like a confidence that this website is the right one. At least
Perfect.
this website is really working.
So just for the audience, so we'll be sharing again, like with the attendees to the event, the materials in the presentation and the template. So all of this will be at your fingertips, so you can look further into it and obviously ask us more questions about what the script entails. But essentially, it's a very simple method just to like extract the right domain from that list of answers. So it's like a secondary step of validation on top of
Yep.
what you just did with the status. Okay, so far we validate. Let's say we run this over a few 100,000 records in our CRM, and we can now have a subset of maybe maybe a quarter of those that are suspicious. So that really narrows down the problem to the ones that we want to identify. The next step is to go and find the actual domains, so the true domains from the suspicious domains, right? So we
Yep.
split this into two steps. So either you can format and or you can enrich to find the true domain. So formatting is the cheap option and it covers a part of that problem. And the second option is more expensive because it requires actual enrichment credits or like using a tool, but it covers the other part of the problem. So maybe Carl, walk us through this first step. So formatting.
Yeah, I think formatting is the easiest part of it, and you can like goes around it very quickly, and it's really working. So if we take the first things to do, you can use a regex. So a regex is pretty simple. It's like a rules, a list of rules that you apply to an object, if you can say that like that. So here we will apply a list of rules for the domain, for the website that we are giving to the workflow. So if we look at the value here in the workflow, it's just saying not start domain, it's the website that we have, that we give them, and replace. And here, like, yeah, it's kind of how to say it, unreadable for non-regex people, but it's pretty simple. So we are removing HTTPS, we are removing www, and we are removing everything that is after the dot something, right?
Hmm.
So you might think that's hard. That's pretty easy. You have two ways of getting this regex. First, you can go on your favorite AI tool and ask for it. It's working very well. Secondly, you can also, and it's what I do mostly. It's I ask on the Cargo AI node, so it's working like a charm. So I think you have those both possibilities, but in the end, you have to keep in mind that the regex will only take the rules that you give to them. So it won't be holistic. So if you encounter like a website with like that with a format that you've never seen, it won't work. So that's where you have to be careful with that.
Excellent. Yeah. So I guess just to like simplify it, you have your domain buried in the core of that string.
Yeah.
And what you're doing is you're removing prefix and suffix. So you're removing all the noise around that core domain so that you can actually go and get the true domain from within that string, right?
Yep. That's right.
That's pretty simple. So let's maybe go to the next example, Carl, which
Yeah.
is a bit more in depth. So it's using JavaScript. First of all, why are we using JavaScript? Why is it more complicated? And what does it do?
Yeah. So uh, I don't think it's more complicated than a regex. To be honest, it really depends on what's your fluencing with how coding fluency you are. But yeah, we are using JavaScript because first that's the that's how cargo is built, right? So I think so. If you can write JavaScript directly in cargo, so that's working very well. First, secondly, it's also very simple to use, and if you have like some notion of JavaScript, you can easily write something. You can be helped. For this one, I've used like an AI. I use ChatGPT, so you can use it also. So what we are doing here, we had a bit of complexity. As I said before, for some companies, we will have like a .co.uk. We have like a suffix that is not just the the domain we just not that is not just sorry the .com or the .co. So we want to keep that. So what are we doing right now is that we are doing the same as the regex, but we are doing with code, and we are keeping the public suffix that we can find in those domains. So
Yeah.
that's pretty much the same, but just it's a bit more sophisticated because we are using code.
Yeah, yeah. So it's just a simple sort of for loop inside a function, and then you return like a cleaner version of the input
Yep.
outside. And so, for context, this is a script node, which is like any other node in Cargo. And so, if in the previous example, we were using a variable to write a script inside. Here, this is a dedicated JavaScript node where you can like run any kind of JavaScript function. Voila. And so then maybe we can go to the last option in this set, which is using an AI prompt instead of a code.
Yep.
So why use AI versus code, Carl? What is the advantage?
Yeah, and AI will be holistic, so that's the biggest advantage. The downside of it is that you have to pay. You have to pay for the call. So to be honest, that's okay because I don't remember what's the price of a call if you use like OpenAI, but you can think about a cent. So yeah, maybe if you have like 1,000 accounts to enrich, 1,000 accounts, sorry, to run into the AI, maybe it will cost maybe €10, something like that, $10. So that's not a lot
Mm.
for that kind of magnitude of number. So what we are doing here, it's pretty simple. We're giving the domain name, the website, sorry, as an input uh, in the AI, and we are asking the AI, okay, so based on that, is this website the right one, the right format? If not, can you change it to the right format? And yeah, and that's pretty easy, and that's working like a charm.
Yeah, excellent. I mean, price wise, I think it's like $5 for a thousand,
Yeah,
like for a thousand records, right? Because like 0.05 tokens, 0.05 credits for the call, if my mental math adds up. So yeah, it's pretty simple. You give it a domain and you ask AI to say, hey, can you clean it up and give me back something easier. So that's how you format the domain. So that's an easy option. So you take all the suspect domains that we did in the first step, and then you format it to get sort of get rid of the noise around where domains are the real ones, and you get a cleaner domain, right? But that's not necessarily sufficient because you still have a subset of domains that are still not normalized. Carl, maybe tell us about like what's the remaining part of the problem and why we need a more expensive
yeah,
sort of
yeah.
solution
So
to go to the end.
so let's say in your CRM, you've cleaned the first one, you validate the first one, sorry, and then you clean them with the right format. But yeah, for some of them, you know that the website is not valid because it's not working from the first step that we had before. And then you can have also companies where you don't have any website or you don't have any information, you just have the company name. So how do you do that? How do you find the website and then you can format it to the right format? So that's what we are doing right now. So first step would be to use a provider. For us now in this workflow, it's Apollo because Apollo can do it pretty easily. It's I've tried a lot of Apollo and it's working well for companies. If the company haven't got like how to say it, a very popular name. Let's say cargo, for example, is a good it's a good example because I think you have a lot of cargo
Hmm.
company in the world. So if you ping Apollo with the name cargo, yeah, you will have maybe 10 answer, and yeah, that won't be the best case. So
Yeah.
that will be harder to find. But on the other end, if you're giving like a kind of a website, yeah, our friend at Pivo,
Hmm.
I think they will find it because well, maybe there's a lot of companies that I don't know, but yeah, maybe they will find it. So it really depends. You have Apollo, sorry, here, but also I know that with Clearbit it's working, and yeah, that's the two main provider, and then you can maybe find other ones. But yeah, I think Apollo is working very well for that.
Yeah, even what I've seen some people do on the tool is they make some sort of waterfall. So the chain providers
Yeah,
like Apollo, Clearbit, etc. And then at the end they'll have an AI similar to our like previous steps, and they'll try to validate if that's the true domain. So they will evaluate Apollo's answer versus Clearbit versus everyone else, and they'll come to the right conclusion based on that. As you said, there's some noise with which company it is. So that's the provider bit. Obviously, this becomes more expensive than the previous options because
yeah,
voila, you pay credits. So some of these providers will be available on cargo credits. You can use those, or if you have your own API key, you can use those as well. Which then takes us to the last bit, right? So am I right with the feeling that okay, you have that sort of false positive problem with those providers, but you're reducing that in some way if you prompt it well with your AI agent
yeah,
for researching the domain, correct?
yeah, correct. So we have also to keep in mind that it depends on the industry for sure, but most of the time the most accurate database for companies is LinkedIn. First, secondly, that you can find most of the company website from like kind of an easy Google search. So let's say you want to search cargo, you say cargo software, and then you will probably find it on Google. So that's what we want to mimic using LinkUp. So LinkUp is a pretty cool tool because they will do all the groundwork of using an agent to work for you. So you're just giving the name of the company, you're giving a big prompt for sure, explaining what you're looking for, where they have to look for, and they will look into LinkedIn, but also in Google. And then based on that, they will they will output, sorry, the domain name of the company. What I do in LinkUp is that I ask the node for the domain, but also I ask the node to output a score. So let's say it's a score of 0 to 10, and I know if the agent is saying, okay, it's a 9 out of 10, I know, okay, that's good. They're pretty confident. I'm okay with that. It's okay. But I know also if the agent is outputting like 5, maybe it depends, but it's kind of a risk because you already paid for the call. Do you really want to push it on your CRM? Do you want to manually verify it? I don't know. You have a multiple variable to do it. So yeah, but yeah, again, I think the AI research, the AI agent, is probably the most expensive one, I guess. Yeah, more or less. But it's also the most powerful one because it will do the job of hundred of interns that you have, but they will do it like in maybe 10 minutes, and your interns will do it like in 10 days. So that's the real difference, and they're way more accurate than an intern or than a human for doing those kind of tasks. So yeah,
Very cool. Yeah, I guess when we were talking about the false positive problem with the providers, so Apollo, Clearbit, whatever, one of the workarounds is to like add more inputs to
yeah,
those providers. So, right? So if I'm saying I don't know cargo, I can also specify the industry, maybe the location, maybe the NIC code, etc. But on a provider, you're limited, right? So that you can only map the fields that they accept as inputs.
yeah,
With
sure,
a research agent, you can throw all the context you have, which is relevant, into the prompt, and you can give all of that information and let the agent decide. So that's why sort of the power increases. On the other hand, LLMs can still be wrong. They can still be badly prompted, blah, blah, blah.
sure.
So you must test it out at small scale. And I think that score bit is quite interesting, right? So that's a pretty smart way of sort of controlling the outputs of that agent.
Yeah, sure. And I think the maybe the end game of all of this is you can create kind of you can link all those workflow to create one big workflow saying, okay, first one will be looking to for a domain with a link up with an AI agent, and you can then validate it uh, with the Google DNS, and then format it if it needed to be formatted with the regex or with another AI, and then you can use it as a kind of a piece in your workflow. And then if you want to go further, you can push it to Salesforce or to your CRM, etc. So yeah, all those workflows, all those tools are really like kind of like tiny bits of the big workflow that you can create around it.
No, I think that's a great segue to sort of conclude on this section. These are all tools, right? And so, like I said, you'll all have the templates for those tools. And so, tools are basically nodes. So, all of this logic, so whether it's this one or the previous one, and or even this one, will be one node to import into your main workflow, your play. And so, these are just building blocks. Take these away and build a system that works for you, right? So if it's, let's say, tier one, then maybe do validation, then the more expensive option, and then if it's tier two, then maybe try to format it and then validate it. If it doesn't work, then enrich it. So come to your happiness as you
Yeah.
want, given the combination of these components. Excellent. So, if anyone who's joining in live has a question, please post that in the chat before we wrap up. I have a question in the meanwhile from in the build up to the event. So someone asked, "Hey, so normalizing domains is a huge priority, but I don't have a dedicated RevOps person in my team to work on this. Given these tools, how much time would you invest, Carl, if you were to go on a Lambda client to start today and normalize the domains in the CRM?"
Well, it really depends. It depends on the number of accounts that you want to normalize. Uh, for most of the people, most of the companies, we are talking of maybe 100,000 maximum of accounts. So given that you have to do kind of an audit to just see how the CRM is going, etc., I think in one day with those kind of tool it can be tackled. And yeah, one day it's really good. To be honest, when I did it in my previous company, just normalizing with the format, it took maybe 30 minutes, and then we had a very the CRM was very clear on just with that. And then yeah, I think it's really, as you said, a kind of a bonus. And you have to think about, scoring your accounts. If you have tier one accounts, you really want them to be enriched and you really want them to be accurate. And maybe you have tier two and tier three accounts that you care less about, and you are okay to enrich them, just, I don't know, just format them, or just validate them. So yeah, I think in one day it can be tackled easily.
Yeah, I think I agree. Like, let's say one day you wake up and you set yourself one objective,
Yeah,
which is, hey, I'll have a clean domain, like clean domains across my CRM today. You can get it done, and most of that time is just really designing the right set of like that cocktail of which tool you want to use where,
yeah,
and which tier, and so on and so forth, and then setting it up in the workflow. As Carl said, is like not more than half an hour maximum, and the rest is just testing. So you do small batches, you see what happens, you see, you observe. Maybe you want to create some visualization in your CRM, right?
yeah,
And then over the day you've sort of come to peace with that, those big batches running, and then sort of cleaning up your
yeah.
CRM. And that's a huge dividend, because then your sales team can finally trust the numbers, your scoring is better, your allocation is better, your tracking signals better, you have fewer duplicates, and so on and so forth.
And I think it's a great, first task, first mission when you're a new hire in a company, because you can have a lot of impact in a very short time.
Yeah, I agree. I think that we're going to make a handbook of this entire serum hygiene series. People have asked us for that. And this should be like good early reading, early execution steps for anyone joining a new sort of GTM
Yeah,
engineering role, RevOps role, whatever, to just come in and like spend a few hours, like clean up your CRM, and instantly you're a star performer, because everyone's CRM is pretty dirty and everyone hates
yeah,
it.
for sure.
Excellent. So there's no questions from the audience. Carl, I'll say thank you. And a little plug for where this event was made. So we built this event because people in the GTM engineering community, which Carl and I are both part of, asked for a series on serum hygiene. We noted that normalizing domains was a big problem for a lot of the audience. And so if you're not part of the community today and you would like these kinds of conversations, you want to be part of them, please join. There's a QR code in front of you. And then people whom we bring on to talk about these cool topics, like Carl, are living, breathing members who can be there to answer your questions, guide you, maybe help you with hands-on help. So make sure you leverage that if you're in the space. And stay tuned for our next event. So we're doing a lot more content now. We have still one more episode on serum hygiene, and we have a lot more cool content coming on using signals and agents and so on and so forth. So stay tuned for this. Carl, thank you again for taking the time and speaking to the community. It's always nice to have you around. And thank you for the templates that you've made for those tools that, well, I'll be sharing after the event.
Cool.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Carl. Take
Yeah,
care.
see you then. Bye.
Ciao.